Bread dates back to the historic times of around 8000 BC, when the Egyptians developed methods to turn grain into thin, circular, yeast-free flour meals. They, alongside other civilizations who took the idea from them, kept developing upon this technique until they were able to create something similar to the general, soft, leavened bread we are all used to today. Bread comes in several varieties, ranging from the common wheat bread to the rare gold leaf bread. However, for people living with diabetes, not all these bread types are beneficial. In this article, I will be giving you some examples of breads that you must avoid if you're diabetic, and the ones that are best for you. But before we begin, please remember to subscribe to our channel for more updates on diabetes, and scroll below for more related contents. 5 worst breads for diabetes. Bagel. Topping our list of the bad is the bagel. The bagel dates back to the 17th century, where a group of Jews called the Ashkenazi developed a recipe for making a delicious flour meal. Bagels entered the United States in the 19th century and soon after spread to the rest of the world. Bagels are characterized by their soft texture and round shape with holes in the middle like donuts. But what makes this kind of bread so dangerous for diabetics? Studies have shown that a bagel eaten is of commensurate proportions of carbs as an average of 5 slices of white flour bread. They considerably lack enough fiber content even when the producers claim to make them from whole wheat, which is a concern if you're trying to watch your cholesterol levels. With a glycemic index of 69 units and 49 grams of carbs out of an average of 100 grams of bagel, this bread is definitely lethal for you. Flour tortilla. Tortillas, flat bread whose origin is traced to Mexico, comes at number 2 on our list of least recommended breads for diabetics. Tortillas come in variants, and the one specified here is the flour tortilla. Flour tortillas are quite tasty. They are so common and their shape so likable because they are folded that they are consumed as a staple in Mexico and most parts of New York. But these wraps of crunchy sweetness come with a price for diabetics that's not easy to pay. An average of 45 grams of tortilla packs about 138 calories with it, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. It has just 2 grams of fiber content, meaning that it'll be harder for you to control your cholesterol levels when you consume tortillas on a regular basis. 22 grams of carbs are contained in this, and because tortillas are easy to digest, you'll get quite an unhealthy dose of glucose in your bloodstream quickly. And though the fat content doesn't seem much, as there are just 4 grams of it in each 45 grams of an average flour tortilla, eating uncontrolled amounts can lead to high cholesterol levels in your blood. French roll. French rolls are undoubtedly delicious. Their origin is traced to Europe and has gained popularity around the world. Their small shape and soft texture make them something to die for, literally in the case of people living with diabetes. 100 grams of the French roll comes with 50% of the total carbohydrate content. That's a big problem as it takes up the space of other nutrients that should be there. This is a lot of sugar for one meal. The problem with this is not only the high sugar content, but also the fact that French rolls are digested really quickly. This means that 50 grams of digested carbs will flow through your veins in a short while when you take 100 grams of this bread. And a rapid rise in blood sugar content for diabetics is a huge problem. It has a total fat content of 4.3 grams, which is why it's so smooth. That should be checked if you're concerned about cholesterol. Ciabatta. This bread originates from Italy and is loved for its ability to be used for several purposes. They're used as buns and sandwiches and are great for toast, too. They aren't commonly known by their name as people refer to them, alongside several others from Italy, as Italian bread. It is characterized by a small, smooth, slightly puffed square top and a flat bottom. This bread is, however, not recommended for consumption by diabetic patients because for every roll of ciabatta, which is about 78 grams, 34 grams of carbohydrates are contained. This is quite much given that it's nearly half of the entire bread. Its fiber content is low, about 1 gram, which means that it digests quickly and does not give a satisfying feeling, leading to the consumption of more units. If you're living with diabetes, this is not good for you. It'll lead to a spike in the glucose content of your blood and lead to other issues. and it also has about 2 grams of fat. Common white flour bread. White flour bread is the most common type of bread in the world as of today. It's used for most kinds of things done with flat loaves of bread such as sandwiches, toast, etc. However, this bread isn't the healthiest for you. White flour bread comes with a lot of carbohydrates. Each 15-gram slice of white bread contains 7 grams of carbohydrates, which is about half of the slice. This highly processed wheat flour and sugar preservatives constitute the carb content of white bread. Luckily, the fat content of each slice is nothing to be worried about, as the 0.5 grams does not constitute up to 1% of your daily recommended intake. As more and more brands of white bread are being made, little consideration is put into the amount of fiber in the massive scales they are being produced in. A slice contains only about 0.4 grams of fiber. The protein content is less than 10%, as it is about 1.4 grams. This is quite unhealthy for those who need to control their blood sugar. So the bad news has been dwelt on. What of the good? Here are the top 5 best breads for diabetics. Whole grain spelt bread. Spelt is an alternative to the modern wheat we know today. It is an ancient and considerably the purest form of wheat. Spelt is rich in fiber. It is, however, the whole grain version that helps in the regulation of blood sugar, as refined spelt does no good for people living with diabetes. Bread made with the whole spelt still contains a lot of carbs. This is not a problem, as it also contains a lot of fiber, which helps to control how much of the sugar gets digested within a specific period. Spelt has quite an impressive amount of protein. In every 100 grams, 14.57 grams of protein are present. This is a lot for a cereal crop, making it a good choice for making bread that is suitable for people living with diabetes. 100 grams of spelt also contains about 4.44 milligrams of iron, which is important in facilitating blood flow. It also contains trace elements such as magnesium, zinc, copper, and manganese, which aid important functions of the body. Almond flour bread. Almonds are great. Many people think they are nuts, but they are not. They are just the seeds of the almond tree. Nevertheless, they come with a lot of good benefits. Almonds are a good choice for making bread because of their high unsaturated fat content that covers the influence of the carbs. This does not mean it doesn't have carbohydrates at all. It means that the carb levels are quite low. Each ounce of almonds contains about 3.5 grams of fiber. This means that it is good in the regulation of blood sugar and the maintenance of cholesterol levels. Loaves of bread, therefore, made from unrefined whole grain almond flour are very beneficial to people living with diabetes. Sourdough bread. Sourdough is simply bread made with whole grain wheat and left to ferment. Yeast and bacteria present in the ingredients, helping the bread to rise. Sourdough has a low glycemic index of 53 units. The probiotics, healthy bacteria in your gut and some foods, contained in the sourdough helps to regulate the digestion of the starch. This leads to having lesser chances of a sudden increase in blood sugar levels. For every 47 grams of sourdough, there are 3 grams of fiber, 4 grams of protein, and 20 grams of carbohydrates. However, the carb content isn't much of a problem since the digestion of the starch contained here is regulated by the fiber present in the sourdough. Flaxseed bread. Coming at number 4 in our good breads list is flaxseed bread. As the name implies, flaxseed bread is made from flaxseed. Flax seeds are very nutritious, given that for every 17 grams there are only 2 grams of carbohydrates. This means that bread made out of this flaxseed helps you to control your blood sugar more effectively. In fact, its fiber content of 1.9 grams cancels out the effects of the sugar in your system, apart from regulating cholesterol. Talking about cholesterol, the 1,597 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids helps to effectively reduce the amount of cholesterol that settles down in the veins and arteries associated with the heart. This leads to an altogether healthier system for you. Oat bread. Last but not least in our list of the best breads is oat bread. Oat bread is wonderful because of its high fiber content and the many minerals it contains. A meal of 4 slices of whole grain oat bread gives you 16 grams of fiber. The fiber present in oats is called beta-glucan. Beta-glucan is very essential in the control of the cholesterol levels in the blood. When they cannot be further digested, beta-glucan dissolves in the gut to form a gel. This gel is what absorbs the cholesterol and deposits it as bile, thereby stopping it from causing harm to the body. Before the beta-glucan dissolves, it aids the movement of ingested materials in the bowels, which helps in the digestive processes. Oat bread also contains antioxidants, which help to prevent cancer and other rapid cell deterioration-related diseases. So, when buying oat bread, always ensure that you get one whose main ingredient is whole grain oats, as there are many generic versions with low oat content and a lot of additives, which kills the purpose of getting them in the first place. You should always look out for the best of breads when living with diabetes. Little things like this make a lot of difference. In this video, some dangerous kinds of breads have been outlined, and also those that are very good. Make sure to not only read this, but also integrate it into your shopping habits. Are you living with diabetes and searching for an efficient method of reversing its symptoms? You are just a click away from finding out the best diet program to reverse type 2 diabetes. Click below to begin.